random missive that you say to be kind, but this time around, it's a serious question. How's everybody doing? It's Tom Lang. I'm Jeff. Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
Man, on a serious note, I'm gonna start like you. My heart goes out to everybody down there. That's really not fun, not cool, really scary. I've got a lot of friends like you do that are in all parts of the Tallahassee area, all parts of Leon County. And I'm just so sad for everybody that's going through it in a serious way. And I hope everybody out there is okay. It's just, that's never happened, dude. You've lived in Tallahassee a lot longer than me.
Yeah.
But you had the one tornado scare maybe 6-7 years ago that went by your house with 3, and they combined basically over Capital City. Like, oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, it was crazy. And let's just start real quickly. Our heart does go out to those affected. At some point, we'll gather and figure out how best to help those in need throughout our community. It has been a weird weekend. Now, look, knock on wood, I've been very fortunate. My friends and family seem to be okay. Everybody seems to be okay. I've had many people affected, but nobody injured, most importantly. And I think a lot of you are like that, right? We've all heard about somebody who dealt with an awful lot on Friday and into Saturday. By the way, Tom, just so you know, because I know you're in New York, I mean, there's still a lot of this city that's without power, and we're currently getting hit by another storm. So I'm going to assume everything's going to work out in the 2 hours that we're on the air. There are more storms coming. Kids were let out of school early today. If you're driving around listening to 93.3 Real Talk Radio or watching on Warchant TV, that's the situation in Tallahassee. Is school lets out early today. My high schooler was already sent home, and my middle schooler is being sent home right now. And apparently there's some more ugly weather. I don't know about tornadoes. We'll update you if we hear anything. Certainly being here at the radio station, we will get access to the National Weather Service and really anything local that we can pass along for those of you in a situation where maybe you can't see a TV or hear that. I'll try to pass along what I can as we get information. I'm going to guess that we're not getting hit by tornadoes again, but just in case, I'll keep you updated. It is pretty dark and ugly outside as we get set to broadcast here today. Now, that said, again, we'll gather information in the coming days and try to figure out, because that's one thing, and you guys know this, been very fortunate over the years to accrue over a long period of time quite a base listenership. We've got a huge audience that listens to the Jeff Cameron Show. It's only gotten bigger since I jumped on board Warchant and 93.3. So we have a lot of multimedia outlet. So we're able to continue to grow the listenership. And why I say that is not to brag. I say that because we're able to do a lot of good, as we have in the past, right? Because of you guys and what you'll allow us to do and what you'll participate in. And so here in the coming days, we'll get that figured out as best we can. It's normally a time where, as you get to the middle of May like this, Tom, we're 102 days away from the start of college football, just so that everybody knows, 102. That means this week we crossed the threshold, buddy. This week we crossed the threshold into sub 100 days until the start of college football. There you go. There's a parcel of good news. There's a piece of good news as we start the show that we're going to enter into 99 days this week. 99, buddy. It happens this week. And you know I always celebrate that moment. But normally we're all kind of planning vacations and different times we're all going to be away and all that good stuff. And instead we'll have to, while also doing that, figure out a good day to try to help out some folks in this community who were affected by the storms.
What that also means, buddy, for the good news department is sometime next week, we'll be about 60 days away from camp opening, from football camp opening ahead of the opener in Ireland. So that's just outstanding. Is like you get within 100 days, and you know it, you can feel it. The EA Sports video game is going to account for a few of those weeks where you're going to play that basically all day when you're not at your job. Maybe you might take off from your job for a day or two to play the EA Sports college football game to get psyched. So that's going to help bridge the gap. So is going to see Jim Phillips in ACC land in Charlotte in July. That's going to be great. And that's going to be something that helps us bridge the gap for a couple of days. And then again, I measure it by camp, not by the opening game. I look forward to the trip to Ireland more than most. Never been. Going to go a few days early. And by a few days, I mean many days early to go see where it is my family comes from. That's going to bridge the gap. But camp, man, this time next week or maybe middle of next week, you're going to be about 60 days away from Florida State opening fall football camp. And that's the big one, because then you get to see how much work these guys did in the weight room and hopefully how much work they did together in the playbook on offense, so they can all get on the same page and play a little bit more cleanly. And I think that's going to help the receiving core, which is concern number one for the offseason.
Really quickly, the weekend that was, as it pertains to Florida State baseball, ugly series loss for the Noles. You don't want to go and lose a series to Pitt. That's not been a good baseball team this year. They do, in large part because they can't score a single run in the first game. That's really where the series is lost. You get an unbelievable pitching performance yet again. 17 Ks. Now, this offense has been awesome. You're allowed to have a clunker here or there. I'm not overly concerned about it. Oddly enough, I'm more concerned about the pitching after, our ace. I think that's really the concern, is how much do you get back in the way of arms before you enter into the postseason? They've already put themselves in a position, no matter what, to be a top 16 national seed. Now, you'd like them to hold on to that top 8 national seed. This certainly hurt. The 2-2 week was less than ideal, but you got an unbelievable pitching performance. You lose a game 1-0. If you score 2 runs there, you take 2 out of 3 in the series. That's all you had to do. And nobody's panicking. I don't panic anyhow. I don't really worry about individual series as much when you have this much data to tell you what a team is, or an individual game, I should say, when you have this much data to tell you what a team is. But it is an ugly series loss, and there's no getting around that. And again, you don't know what, Whitaker came back and pitched over the weekend. That's a good sign. You wonder how much he'll be able to pitch as we move forward. Is that a guy that you're going to be able to run out there for 2, 3, 4 innings at a time? It's game-changing if it is. Still don't know about the Leiter situation, which I hinted at earlier a couple weeks ago, and a little frustrating there. But, Ben Barrett's pitched some, not a ton, but he has pitched some. So they're trying to get those arms back sooner rather than later. Dorsey did not pitch well in the game 2, and that hurt. Obviously, that's a guy that can be wild. That's his one downside. And when he's wild, it can cost you. Florida State, I wonder, that was a weird thing. Just to give you an idea of something, okay? Their flight to Pittsburgh was delayed. They were supposed to leave the day before the storms. That did not happen. Then trying to get out the morning of. I'm not excusing. I'm just letting you know the situation. That morning they were supposed to fly out to get up there to give themselves time for batting practice and your traditional warm-ups and to get settled in. Well, obviously we know what happened there too. That also was delayed because of hideous storms here, tornadoes in Tallahassee. I think everything about that series ended up getting screwed up in a weird way, largely due to weather, including multiple delays to get there and then delays in games. And then, the situation was just strange. It doesn't excuse away losing 2 out of 3 to a bad Pitt team, but it does certainly tell you that perhaps the headspace wasn't where it needed to be. The focus maybe wasn't where it needed to be. They were well aware that Hauser had been damaged. They were well aware that it may affect their Georgia Tech series. I do believe in this hour, and if not this hour, some point in hour number 2 of the show today, I will have information that I can relay to you guys regarding the Georgia Tech series. There's been thoughts that was going to have to get moved to Atlanta. Obviously, that's less than ideal. Florida State does not want to do that. At the same time, it does not appear that Hauser is going to be ready. So there are some plans in place, and we're looking to see if those get finalized. I've got the inside track on that. I can probably give you that information before perhaps anybody else. And I'm waiting here. I got the phone with me, guys. I should get an update here real soon on the possibilities for where Florida State will be playing the Georgia Tech series.
Yeah, this is, there's nothing regular about the way the season has gone. I think that means that regionals won't have a weather delay because it's just going to be a really backwards year. If they do, we will be the most prepared team in America for weather changes to a schedule for a regional weekend. But now super regional, should you make it to it, is in danger. And I'm mad about that. I'm mad. Is that Pitt's first ACC weekend series win of the season? Really? Come on, guys. You had the inside track here. You did the hard work that you needed to do to put yourself in position to be a shoo-in for a top 8 national seed. And I think now you're on the outside looking in. You're going to be top 16 if the season ended today, but I think you're on the outside looking in, because I think the committee is going to skew more towards the Southeastern Conference if they can. Did you see what happened in softball?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
Duke has a number 3 RPI, and they're the 10 seed. They're the NCAA system by which these things are measured. The one that they look at, the committee says that they look at, had the Blue Devils, not that I'm crying for them, but had the Blue Devils at number 3 in the country, and they came in at 10. So they don't get a top 8 national seed. So if there's doubt, the ACC is getting their ass kicked out in these situations. And I think at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida got a 16 seed the way that some of these committee decisions are in terms of the SEC. So you got work to do now. And damn it, man, that was not supposed to be the case. But the season where a weekend series can never be a straight line continues, and be as scheduled continues.
Yeah.
Hopefully they just get all that ironed out so they know what their plan will be for Thursday through Saturday as they play the Yellow Jackets.
Appreciate you, Z-Chan. There it is. Hey, Tom, go Braves. Z-Chan, we love you, and you got your contribution in and your chance to say to Tom, go Braves.
Well, that's good. Hey, I am proud of the Braves for evening the season series at 3 apiece. They even the season series. They are now 3-3 against the Mets. I'm sure that they believe in their hearts they should be 5-1 against the Mets because they are that much more superior. But good job. You got 2 out of 3. Nearly got a no-no this weekend. Came up just a little short. And that's okay. That's all right. 3-3, and thanks for the 20 bones, brother.
I will say this. I really, circling back to Florida State for a second, really don't want to have to go play at Georgia Tech. I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves at this point. Not the greatest road team in the world. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We're not. All signs point to the fact that we're not the greatest road team in the world. And if you can avoid some of those games away from Hauser, games that are supposed to be at Hauser, having to be away from Hauser, less than ideal. I think because in the way I viewed the season going in and how bitterly disappointing last year was for Florida State baseball, I viewed this year as, all right, let's see what kind of strides would be made, what's possible for Link Jarrett and his staff. How quickly can they get this to be relevant? How quickly can they be middle to upper tier in the conference? How quickly could they, I guess, assure us as fans again that Florida State baseball was going to matter, was going to be in the postseason, was going to have a chance to host at Hauser? Like these are the benchmarks for the measuring sticks anyhow that I was looking at going into the season. And I think when you start the year the way you do with all of those wins, you're the last team in the country to remain undefeated. You sweep Florida in devastating fashion, just blow the doors off of Florida. Of course, you do the same to Miami. You prove time and time again that you're not just relevant, you're really good. Then those answers, because they happen relatively soon in the season, early in the season, Tom, I really got to a place where I just wanted to know how well or how poorly were we going to be playing as we entered the postseason. When they ratcheted up expectations because of that aforementioned success, you start getting into, well, okay, man, we jumped this hurdle and this hurdle. Might we be a top 8 national seed? Might we host throughout? Might we do this, this, and this? And that's all well and good. That's what happens. Expectations grow when you win games. When you're successful, you want to continue to reach and strive to be even more successful. There's nothing wrong with that. Coaches do that. Players do that. We should all do that. But baseball's fickle. You know this. It's so funny. You think back on the seasons that were the Dodgers or the Braves or any number of other franchises that have had incredible seasons, and they would give back some wins to be playing well when they needed to be playing well. I remember going into that Phillies-Braves series last year, and I had Braves fans, all of them, telling me, like, we're going to get beat by the Phillies. You can see this coming. And we could see it coming. It was weird, but a 100-plus win team was going to be ousted. If Florida State, this is the way I look at it now, if Florida State scuffles down the stretch here, and they just had a 2-2 week, it wasn't a great week, they needed extra innings to get one of the wins at home against Jacksonville, and that's not a great version of Jacksonville, by the way. And then you win only the one game at Pitt. And, yeah, you clobbered them in that game, but losing the other two, losing that series, Pitt's first ACC series win, as you alluded to, not good, right? Now, let's just say you continue to – they got Stetson tomorrow on the road. I'm not going to assume anything. I'd like to believe that Florida State wins that game, but let's say they continue to scuffle down the stretch. It's a hypothetical. They may win every game this week. Who knows? But if they do kind of scuffle, are we getting good news along the way? Are you finding out that Ben Barrett is able to ratchet it up now to 40 to 50 pitches as we enter into the postseason in the ACC tournament? And he'll be able to add on to that number. Are you finding out that Whitaker is going to be a guy that gives you 3 or 4 innings before we start into the postseason? Or is that where we're starting to get to? Do you get Cam Leiter back even for an inning to show that he's going to be pitching into the postseason? If you do those things, despite these last 2 weeks where perhaps you're stuttering down the stretch, I'll be buoyed because I have no doubt that the games at Hauser is going to feature an offense that'll be electrifying, a crowd that will carry this team across the finish line. I don't, certainly didn't have expectations they were going to win the College World Series this year, but put yourself in the best possible position going into the postseason with the most amount of arms. Because right now, I think we look at the 1-0 game against Pitt as a complete outlier, something that happens in baseball. Twice you left a runner on third with less than 2 outs, things you haven't really done all year long, things you haven't really, you had a foul ball that would have been a 2-run home run, went by inches. Baseball can be cruel and weird. That's an outlier. I'm not worried about that. They'll hit. But if you don't have enough arms, then obviously we know it's going to be short-lived in the postseason.
Yeah, agreed. Where my mind has gone already is to regional weekend. And, okay, Jamie's going to pitch game 2. I'm not going to pitch him on Friday night. We need him in the winner's bracket, and we need to win that first game against the 4. And sometimes those can get dicey because a lot of teams, even ones that barely make the tournament, at least have an ace, somebody who can shut you down, and it could be 2-2 in the 6th, or they could be up 3-2 in the 4th or the 5th inning, and you're starting to sweat bullets there. But the regional is the dicier proposition to me of how you manage it. I think you have to keep Jamie in game 2 and hope you bat your way through game 1. Jamie can set the tone for you in game 2, and then just hope the bats take you home into a super regional. They're the ones that elevate you to the supers. Because once you get to the super regional, then you pitch Jamie in game 1 because you got to go ace for ace there. But it's that as you think about those things, I get those butterflies that I haven't had in a little while.
Yeah,
and that's the fun part. And that is the credit to this team for creating those expectations and those butterflies. And we're still a few weeks out from that reality of having a regional weekend. But yeah, now it's about how do you set the tone in a regional to get the ball to Jamie at 1-0? Because if you can do that, then you're looking square in the face at a super, which I put us up against any team in the country in a best of 3 with Arnold starting game 1. Absolutely. We have a real shot.
Yeah, we do have a real shot. And you have an even better shot if you're adding arms, quality arms, experienced arms. And we'll see. I don't know how much of that they're going to get. That is my great hope. But if they can, that's where they got to get to, even if they're just kind of scuffling across the finish line. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
You've been injured on I-10? I'm Dana Brooks of Facing Brooks Law Offices. We partnered with Roadproof to access all interstate traffic camera footage along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Memories fade and witnesses disappear. Securing important video footage now can make sure your claim receives the full attention it deserves. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Facing Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
Zaxby's has been perfecting chicken fingers for 30 years. So what now? Now, we go to the sea. Introducing the Southern Fried Shrimp Meal. With butterflied shrimp that's perfectly golden fried. A perfect blend of cocktail sauce and Zax sauce that we call Zax Tail Sauce. Plus perfectly seasoned crinkle fries. Perfectly buttery Texas toast. And even a drink with perfectly pebbled ice. Here's to 30 more years of perfect. The new Southern Fried Shrimp Meal at Zaxby's. Woo, saucy!
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Lika Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Lika Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Legal Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLegalLawFirm.com. Hyson Legal Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
Commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, Maclay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricine, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Got to be interesting for Ira Schoffel, our own Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, who finds himself over at Amelia Island for the meetings here, and we'll find out how contentious that got. Thank you, Seth. He writes, just for fun, are there linebackers on the roster at the level of Nicholson brothers, Geno Hayes, Buster Davis, Dakota Watson, Kendall Smith, Nigel Bradham, Christian Jones? Appreciate the question, Seth. I'll answer it momentarily. First, let me remind you, it's Monday again at Social Kitchen. Marks the start of another week, and it's filled with exclusive discounts just for you each week. A variety of discounts, promotions to delight the awesomeness of you, the customer, obviously. Swing on by, get the delicious prepared meals, or you can now indulge in the goodness that is discounted wines, steaks, and more. $5 off a pound, any steak on Mondays. That doesn't suck, and their steaks are awesome, and I get them all the time right there off of Cary Forest. You should swing on by and do it as well. SocialKitchenTLH.com to learn more. Okay, that question again. Dakota Watson, Kendall Smith, Nigel Bradham, Christian Jones, Buster Davis. Oh, I wish there was somebody the caliber of Buster Davis. I really loved Buster Davis. Crazy thing about Buster Davis's career, we all remember, this is a kid who got homesick and left and was on the precipice of never being allowed to come back to play football at Florida State, and then very quietly under the radar did and had himself a career. And now is big-time Florida State advocate in the Atlanta area, I do believe, Tom. I believe that's where Buster resides. And I loved him as a player. Listen, I don't know what the kid from Auburn is going to be. I like his film. I like how, he's got that combination of size and speed that suggests that he could be a Nicholson or he could be a player of Dakota Watson's caliber, maybe. We'll see. I would think so. The others have to prove it. Cryer isn't there yet. We'll see. Had a good camp. They have really high hopes for a couple of guys that, Nicholson might be able to be the guy that they thought he would be when they recruited him. We told you instantly he had a ton of speed. He just wasn't big enough necessarily. Wasn't physical enough. Big enough might not be the right word. He's 220 plus, and in today's day of hybrid players, he might be big enough, but he wasn't physical enough yet. That's the other thing to factor in when it goes along with these freshmen that come in. Sometimes the guy looks the part. Sometimes the guy is 215, 220, and you say, well, that's plenty big enough. I've seen a lot of guys that weigh that. Yeah, but they're 18, and they haven't been lifting for 2 and 3 years at a Power 5 conference level. You got to get them into Coach Storm's system. You got to get them eating right. Got to get them at the Bama table, as we used to say. The right supplements are necessary, Tom. So, then you get a little bit stronger. You have an opportunity to perhaps utilize that weight that you already possessed when you walk through the door.
That's a tough question for me to answer because a lot of those guys are from my time, the lost decade, bits and pieces of. And my instinct is to say no. No, we don't have a linebacker that's of that caliber. A lot of those dudes had NFL careers for an extended period of time. Yeah. But that's a toughie for me because the student me comes out. We were pretty good at linebacker at my time, in my undergrad years. Not good at much. Didn't beat rivals at home. Never did in my 4 years. So my best win that I saw was probably a win over Clemson with C.J. Spiller or Virginia Tech. So didn't work with much.
You had a tough go in your time here, buddy.
I did. It's not the worst. These kids who just graduated or graduated a year ago, they had it worse than I did. But at the time, it was by far the worst that anybody had experienced in 20, 30 years. So it's tough for me to answer that without being biased, but my initially no. Maybe on first and second down, DJ Lundy rises to the level of some of those players that are listed. But if you're talking about a 3-down linebacker, maybe not. And also the game's different. The mandate, like DJ Lundy might have existed in that time and been one of those dudes because the game was different. The responsibilities were different. The onus on coverage was less, so maybe he would have been.
Less. Yeah.
So it's a different era, but that's not to say that maybe a couple of guys can't develop into that caliber of player, but on the hoof, I don't think so. No, Seth.
No, I got to be honest with you. I miss the standard 3 linebackers on the field at all time. I know the game's changed to the point where you have 2 linebackers on the field most days. I miss the old 4-3 and everybody kind of having a role, and you'd watch guys diagnose and flow and take on, especially if you had a really good middle linebacker, a willingness to meet in the hole, a lead blocker, the physicality of that was not for the faint of heart. The guys that could really take on a lead blocker, stand them up, shed, have great technique, strength, and explosiveness to finish the play in the hole. There was a lot that was asked of a big-time middle linebacker back then. And he had the speed of the outside guys. Everybody kind of understood the deal there, making plays out in the flats and flowing to the ball. It's totally different now with the way teams spread people out. You get hybrid players out there. You have undersized linebackers out there most of the time. It's fascinating to try to put together a linebacking core, Tom, that's going to meet any expectation of a given Saturday. What Michigan did was decide to play bully ball in an era where everybody else is spread out and run the ball. You have to have huge offensive linemen. You have to have a lot of, imagination within the run game in terms of versatility, what you can do with different types of blocking schemes within one scheme overall. They did a great job with all of that. If you want a complete set of linebackers, you have to be willing to be spread out and run like the wind blows against a team that wants to go sideline to sideline and throw it. And then you also have to have a team that, if you are to meet a more physical group that wants to run downhill and play a lot of power football, you got to be able to have some guys that may not play as much on certain Saturdays, but are going to be required to play this particular Saturday. I think it's why I find myself both kind of holding on to the past and recognizing I need to let that go, and at the same time constantly trying to measure whether or not we meet those markers. Do we have the versatility at linebacker that we're going to need to beat the best teams in the country. You probably have what you need most weeks. I mean, last year, Florida State was okay at linebacker. And the reason I say okay, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. Your two prominent linebackers, one was drafted in the 7th round, the other one went undrafted. So people get mad at me when I say things. They think I'm taking shots at Tatum Bethune. They think I'm taking shots constantly at guys. I'm not. I'm saying that caliber of linebacker, by definition, is just okay. You know, you had a guy go in the 7th and one get undrafted. They weren't great. They weren't great. They were okay. They were reliable. They were tough. They were likable. They were consistent. But they weren't elite. They weren't elite. And I keep feeling like at some point you're going to reach you're going to play a game against a Georgia or an Ohio State or a Michigan or an Alabama or somebody like that, and you're going to need some guys to be plus players, high-end players at the position. And I don't feel like that's what we have right now.
That's the goal, is to get to a place where you're tested top to bottom in the depth chart to see where you're weak and where they're weak. You want to be tested against the best. And if you're going by pro prospects, yeah, it's a problem. Last year's defense, I thought, accentuated the strengths of Bethune and Deloach very well. We found a way to get Kalen extremely involved at rushing the passer and getting downhill and making plays. And that's a credit to Adam Fuller for scheming it up and finding what somebody's strong at. Kalen's ability to get downhill and instantly impact the quarterback not only won us the Clemson game, but I'm sure schematically it caused future opponents to have to think twice about how they blocked it up and what their pass protections look like and what they need to be, prepared for. Because if 4 gets free, that's a problem, and that's probably a game-changing play or at least a drive killer. So we did a good job of that, but you want to work with better players. And, it's funny, I censor myself, my own, like before I even say things like this out loud, but this recruiting class is shaping up to be quite strong at linebacker. Now, you got to get to December, pay the final bill, and make it all work.
It's the hardest part about recruiting and getting excited about recruiting. And I, too, am excited about what this class is shaping up to be.
The caliber of player that they are entertaining to say yes and to be a part of this class is not just, they've got one kid that they're tied to who's a high 4-star or a 5-star. Man, they're on 3-4 high caliber linebackers this class. And I will say, when we saw the 2 early enrollees at spring camp, we were impressed with Hickman Collins and Parrish. Like, yeah, they weren't 4- and 5-star players in terms of the recruiting services, but they looked the part when they got here on campus. So hopefully things are changing in that regard. And then you get a couple of hits in terms of development with Cryer and Nicholson in the immediate term.
Yeah, and there were a lot of expectations for Nicholson. He was pretty well thought of coming out of high school, so that would be a win for them, a guy that they would have won the recruiting battle for and then also developed. It's important that they continue to grow in these areas. They're checking the boxes and having success along the way. That's the key, is that they've gone from being a program that's fairly insignificant to being a program of great significance, including winning the ACC and having an undefeated regular season, to be in a position now where it's like, okay, well, it's championship or bust. I mean, that's where they've reached to. So these conversations are all having acknowledged that growth. But in order to reach the ultimate goal and to be a national championship contender on an annual basis, I do think they have to improve their high school recruiting. I think it's a fair criticism, if you want to call it that. And I think it's something they have to get better at. If they do, Katie, bar the door, man, because they already do all the other things really, really well, and they've already shown what that can possibly mean. So I'm crossing my fingers that this upcoming class that Tom and I are referencing, which they're in on some really good players, means that they're going to cross that bridge as well. And now all of a sudden we just start talking about schedule and the starters the following year, and you start projecting, and you get all excited, all those things. Jeff Cameron, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
5 sandbag locations will be open as a potential for heavy rain in the forecast looms. The county announced a location Sunday evening as many residents continue to clean up after a historic day of storms Friday. The 5 sandbag locations are at Leon County's Northeast Branch Library, Appalachia Regional Park Solid Waste Management Facility, at the intersection of Oak Ridge Road and Ranchero Road, and at Fort Brady Community Park. Leon County will staff these sites, and sandbag fillers will be available to assist residents. Sand, bags, and ties will be available for public use at no cost. Leon County has announced a plan to pick up storm debris for certain areas of the county. Starting on Friday, crews will be going around both public and private roads in the unincorporated areas of Leon County. For those residents who are not included on the curbside pickup program, the county is offering a free debris drop-off at the Solid Waste Management Facility located at 7550 Appalachia Parkway. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A flood watch continues until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. A tornado watch continues until 7 p.m. tonight. Severe thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise overcast skies. High temperatures reach up to 84, southeasterly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 71.
Get excited about your home design with Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, where you can discover an incredible selection of lighting fixtures, exceptional furniture, and unique decor for any style and any home. At Tallahassee Lighting and Decor, you'll get the chance to consult with one of our design representatives to curate the perfect space to fit your home and lifestyle. Visit Tallahassee Lighting and Decor today. Proud sponsor of Patty's Playhouse, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Find out more at tallylighting.com. That's tallylighting.com.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And,
I've never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world, Jeff. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Could do without the continued tornado warnings, but pass it along. That extends until 7 p.m. tonight. Tornado warnings in Tallahassee till 7 p.m. tonight. Good times, Tom.
There you go. Well, they are at least watches because the warnings mean they're on the ground, but still, yeah, you got to sweat out.
Yeah.
The problem is, as somebody who recently owned a home with a lot of trees that were within fall risk distance, sometimes it's not even the big storm that gets you. Now, the big storm got a lot of Tallahassee last week, don't get me wrong, but then the ground is soft and all it takes is one other system to come through and you've got tremendous issues. So everybody, please be careful on the roads, even as the storm is approaching before it gets there, because it might be one little 35-mile-an-hour gust of wind that is all that needs to break the camel's back for one tree to fall over. So just be extremely careful out there. I'm so sorry for what everybody's going through.
Big Hoss Locks. I like this. Writes, do you think James Wilder Jr. could have been a first-round linebacker if he chose to play defense? No, I don't think he would have been a first-round linebacker. Do I think he could have played linebacker well in college? I do. And James was a strong, tough individual. I remember, quote, unquote, Jimbo Fisher to me directly as we were talking about the prospect of James Wilder and what was he or was he something else entirely. I said, Coach, how'd that recruitment go? What were your thoughts on that? And he said, well, I saw him as a running back and I wanted my big back. I wanted a big bitch. I wanted to get me a good big back. And so there it is. That's all there is to it. And I was like, all right, that's the end of that. He was pretty assertive about that. He was telling James, you're going to be my big back. And it's kind of funny if you think about James Wilder's career. He's all right, but he had a special run against Virginia Tech that will live for the ages. For the ages.
Yeah, well, that was a 4th down run, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and he's met in the backfield. It was poorly blocked, and he gets hit, and if he goes down, we got a problem. But he is a big, strong man, and he decided, I will not go down, and I will get that first down.
Well, he iced the 12 Clemson game in Tallahassee as well with a run where he broke maybe 6 or 7 tackles. It would have been really fascinating to watch him play linebacker because his vision as a running back wasn't great. We would get frustrated with him that there would be something blocked up and he thought he saw something else. And man, it was just right there in front of you. And he would go the other way. That I don't know how well that translates to linebacking because you've got fewer decisions to make, but you still have to have the instincts to go flow to the play where it's and the anticipation skills to get where the play is going. I would have loved to have seen him play linebacker though, because with how hard he was to bring down with the ball, he would have brought dudes down harder without the ball as he was chasing it. That would have been something to see.
You know, the weirdest part of the duo that was so great for us is that James Wilder, big shouldered, big leg, big strong back, not great between the tackles, better outside the tackles. Devonta Freeman, diminutive, thick, but diminutive, really good between the tackles, despite being quite a bit shorter and not considered, quote unquote, a big back. It was funny. Those two were the opposites of what their profile read.
It's kind of wild, too, how guys develop at the professional level and they're different players in the NFL than they are in college. Like Devontae with the hidden yards, that was always going to be a thing for him, on Saturdays or Sundays. But early in Devontae's professional career, he was kind of a home run threat, which he never was here because he was replaced by Dalvin. And so when you got to see Dalvin by midseason in 2014, you understand what anytime he touches the ball, he can change the scoreboard looks like. And that really wasn't what Freeman was about in his college career. But yet when he starts with the Falcons, he was a 20, 30, 40-yard explosive play machine, which was just wild to see. And sometimes that happens. A guy is one thing here. They go to the pros and they lean on a skill set that maybe we didn't in the way we schemed up an offense or a defense.
Also, James Wilder walked into the game against Clemson on high with the flex that will always in the half shirt like it's 1986. And I still smile at the moment as Jimbo's checking that playbook, and we cannot wait to get that game started after that 40-minute ride around nonsense intro.
As much as Gary Danielson or Tom Brenneman wanted you to know how much they love Tim Tebow, that is how much James Wilder wanted you to know he had a six-pack at minimum that he was working with.
Yeah. You had to see it. You needed to see it. That was back when Kirk Herbstreit was still in favorable eyes of the Florida State fan base because he was one of the first that year to say, that's the team. Florida State's the squad now.
I'm sure of the 10 or 15 live football games he watched that week, we were the most impressive. I'm sure we were the most impressive of the 10 or 15 he saw.
Who's that guy on this year's team? When is the moment with this year's team? It's over the weekend. I was talking to my father about away games, and obviously it starts with the Ireland game against Georgia Tech. And then most Florida State fans are saying that they're going to the Notre Dame game. I'm getting the sense that off to the Notre Dame game, a lot of people go, tradition-laden as they are. I think people, if they haven't already gone to Notre Dame, want the opportunity to do it. I will tell you this, is for a dump of a town as it is, we couldn't be going at a better time. Give me November in South Bend. I'm okay with that. I don't want it to be hot. I want it to be cold. But it's not freezing in November. It's not freezing in Illinois or Indiana in November. Not typically. It's chilly, but it's not freezing. So we'll handle that just fine. We'll go to that. It'll be just fine. Could be 100 degrees at SMU, do we think?
Yeah, man.
It's a little bit different experience.
Having been to a game in Austin in September, it's a little miserable. You're hoping for a night kick. You're just hoping for a night kick. I know that ratchets up the difficulty of the atmosphere, But if you're going to the game, you do not hope for a nooner or a 2:30 Central kick.
Ooh,
You're hoping for
nooner.
yeah.
In the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
No, I mean, that's 11 o'clock local time, so you might be okay for a quarter, but damn it, man, after that. And a 2:30 Central kick, dear God. Bring IVs. I don't mean liquid IVs. I mean IV bags with needles. Bring them into the stadium.
The last time we were in the area for a football game, it was against Oklahoma State, and I was tailgating with you at a house that you guys rented. And if you recall, I manned the grill for several hours that afternoon as we were drinking all-day IPAs.
That's correct.
And they were delicious.
That is 10 years ago this August, September.
The only thing I'll tell you about that day in manning the grill, and I like cooking for people, and I do. I cooked over the weekend for my wife for Mother's Day, by the way. Belated happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. I hope you had a good weekend despite what happened on Friday with the weather, but hopefully you were able to have a good time with your family and your loved ones. But yeah, I cooked all day yesterday. But that day that I cooked when we were in Fort Worth there, buddy, my God, I think I lost 7 pounds. Just sweating out by that grill out there on that porch with the sun coming down. It was 100 degrees before we played Oklahoma State.
And that you asked for it too. Like, give me this, everything. I got it. I'm a griller.
I got the burgers, I got the dogs, I got the sausages. I was ready to roll.
You wanted that smoke. You got that smoke and the heat that went with it. Absolutely. It's a good thing the game was indoors. You wouldn't have made it if the game was outdoors.
No, and I ended up, and this sounds so privileged, and it was, I ended up in a box. It was great. I ended up in a lovely box, and and the thing of it was, because I was so dehydrated, Tom, I got a little tipsy. I was depleted. The fluids were gone, but all I remember was how fast what's-his-face was. The pregnant woman. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. And I remember Jimbo Fisher telling me that they couldn't get Tyreek Hill into school. And then he got in trouble and they didn't want him into school, but that they had been trying to get him here prior to that.
I had heard on the sidelines that Jimbo was not pleased that he was not in Tallahassee in the moment. Like Jimbo would have put up with whatever he needed to get.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to assume that Jimbo would have been cool with a player that beat a pregnant girlfriend.
I wouldn't like to assume that either, but what I heard was that he says, "Why don't we have him on the sideline?" That was the gist of how it went down that particular day. What a weird game that was too, because we
got out to a big lead and then we held on for dear life.
Well, in this day and age of replay review, I know that they had it then, but the Jameis touchdown run, which was awesome, is he's making
the most athletic play he ever made in the history of Jameis Winston football.
All it was we needed the white gold helmets. That's what we needed, the oversized, great Gazoo white gold helmets, and that's what made him a miracle man in the open field. And he was pretty close to not having the football over the plane. And you know what? I would have traded that because I think we still would have won the game. That team had a knack for it. I would have traded that for the 4th down rule in the Rose Bowl now. Man, oh, man. Fourth and goal. I would have. Son of a.
You could have just called the interference too.
Oh,
you had so many moments. Obviously, you go back to it. If Jalen Ramsey can hold on to a ball, he may not walk into the end zone. That's a lot of speed at quarterback that he's got to outrun. But he's got a chance.
Hits him in the chest plate. I mean, come on, dude. He does not like the Rose Bowl. Jalen Ramsey did not have his best moments inside the Rose Bowl.
Although we will credit him forever for having gotten trucked, because that getting trucked and not making that tackle is what allowed for the time necessary for us to go down the field and win the national championship.
That's right. And I'm sure that's how it was easier to put on the T-shirt once the game was over. The championship T-shirt after getting trucked. You're like, well, Jameis wouldn't have had time. I mean, if Jameis had 30 seconds, we probably still would have won, but I don't know that he would have had 30 seconds.
Every year during football season, we have moments where we complain. We come in on a Monday, and it's unavoidable these days. I don't know if it's just bigger, stronger, faster. I don't know if it's because the rules are cloudy at time, and they seem to put the emphasis from year to year on one thing to another. But every Monday or Tuesday when we come in during the football season, we have to have at least one segment where we say, I don't get this level of incompetence. I do not understand And a lot of times the discussion happens after we watch a replay and we say, I don't know, I could have made that call inside of 20 seconds. We've made a joke of it. You and I have talked about it should be the Jeff and Tom replay booth in which they hear our conversation, totally transparent. We'd be in and out of there. I'm like, clearly he dropped it, Tom. You agree? Yep, we're good. All right, we don't need to see another angle. No. Hey, Keith, don't need to see another angle. He dropped the ball. We agree on this one. Let's go. Let's play some football. The rhythm of the game is being destroyed. Let's go. We would do that more often than not. Very rarely would we have a disagreement.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
And we could reach an agreement within two. If you get that one angle, for some reason, the truck gives you the angle that you need fifth. It's always
Give me the first one. Give me the first. Yeah.
It's always the tight end zone copy from above. You're like, my man, we're going to see his hips. We're not going to see the ball. So we could get it with the right replay review the first time. And then the second time you could double check that. I think that's a fumble. Great. I'm going to look at the clock. And then we're going to get the clock there. And then we're all set. It would take 30 seconds or less 90% of the time.
Well, the whole reason I bring it up, it wasn't out of the blue. It's that for all of the egregious, all of the moments that we've thought, well, that's ridiculous. How did they miss that? And it could be a random NFL game where you're like, well, clearly he's out of bounds, or clearly that ball hit the ground, or clearly that ball's out before he's tackled, or clearly whatever it might be, right? There has never been a worse horse collar in the history of horse collars than the one that happened to Rashad Green along the sideline. There's never been a worse one. Not before or since. Nobody's ever been horse-collared worse than he was horse-collared, and they missed that. And I know we went on to win the game, and it doesn't matter, but it's on principle. How the hell did anybody miss the worst horse collar ever?
Yeah, I believe we as a duo would have ruled goalie interference last night in Boston as well.
I think so, yes.
Probably.
Yes.
I think if you shove a dude into a goalie, you're interfering with the play. But okay.
Agreed. Yeah. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Investors, are you looking for a creative way to purchase your next rental property? Are you looking to get into the Airbnb space? If so, you need to know about DSCR loans. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. These are loans that do not require traditional income verification. As long as the proposed rent covers the mortgage payment on the subject property, that's the only income you need. If you're looking at investing and don't know if you can qualify, let's set up a plan to get your next income-producing property and start putting you on a path to passive income. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. And don't forget, every fellow Knoll that we close a loan for, I will personally make a donation of $250 to the Battle's End. It's Shannon Young at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing lender, NMLS number 373030. I'm Greg Tisch, here to share one of my favorite TCC stories. In the summer of 1966, Eugene Lamb wanted to stay in shape before leaving to play college basketball in Louisiana. So he jogged to Tallahassee from his home in Midway and helped lay the bricks for the first building on what's now the TCC campus on Appleyard Drive. Today, he is a longtime member of the TCC District Board of Trustees. It's no exaggeration when we say Trustee Lamb helped build TCC into what it is today.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake to take on anything.
Better days start. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
PGA Championship this week at Valhalla in Louisville. Scotty Scheffler, after the birth of his first child, expected to play in the event. That's according to Sports Illustrated. He's won 4 of his last 5 tournaments, including the Masters, but has been away from the PGA Tour with the birth of his first child. Scotty Scheffler's 4-1. Rory McIlroy 10-1. Xander Schauffele and Brooks Koepka 14-1. John Rahm 16-1. Zach Eflin on the mound today for Tampa Bay, plus 100 at Fenway against the Red Sox, minus 120. Ronaldo Lopez pitching for the Braves, another 48 home favorite against the Cubs, 8 over at Truist Park. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
Some people just know the more you protect, the more you save with Allstate, because they know insurance math. Like if you protect your home and auto, Allstate can save you up to 25%. So it's like losing money if you don't bundle. Save more when you protect more. Bundle home and auto with Allstate today.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Tyler from Wendy's here. The best part of Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull-Apart is every part. Unlike mornings, which have no good parts. Until now. Because with Wendy's new breakfast Cinnabon Pull-Apart, mornings finally don't completely suck. And now that mornings have warm cinnamon sugar rolled dough and ooey gooey frosting, are they the best part of every day? Probably not, but you get the idea. Get to Wendy's today and get the best part in every bite with the new Cinnabon Pull-Apart.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Cinnabon is a registered trademark of Cinnabon Franchisor SPD LLC.
Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. Socialkitchentlh.com. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Have you been injured on Interstate 10? I'm Jimmy Fasig of Fasig Brooks Law Offices. We've partnered with RoadProof to access all interstate traffic cameras along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Let us help you get the proof you need to stand up for yourself and get fair compensation for your injuries. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Basic Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Heisen Legal Law Firm chat. We say thank you to that. Appreciate you as always. If you're driving around town listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, we also appreciate you. Be careful. It's getting worse and worse out there. It's only going to get uglier. Tornado watch in effect till 7 o'clock tonight. So, buckle up. Let's hope it doesn't happen, obviously. Hey, really quick out the gates. Thanks to Zaxby's. We love you, Zaxby's. I think Chris is mowing on some Zaxby's right now. Did I see that in the chat during the break? I believe so. Yeah, he is. Crushing some Zaxby's because one of the 87. Chris, wrong number. Today, 103 locations. 103 locations. But he mentioned that one of them is right down the road from his house. For your information, always order an extra Zax sauce. Go Noles. Stay safe today. Thanks, Chris. And the information about ordering the extra Zax sauce is 100% correct. It's always important to have. I have a rule in life. I've said it on the show many times. For things worth having, have and not need, as opposed to need and not have. That's how we live. I haven't brought it up in a long time, Tom, because I thought you got tired of hearing it, but it's true. It's better to have and not need than need and not have.
I learned that one on the roadie to Charlotte in 2010. I think that was the first time I heard it, and then subsequent to that, many, many times. And I agree. You should order an extra barbecue sauce from Zaxby's. You should always order an extra barbecue sauce from Zaxby's.
Many sauces. Lots of sauces. We got to have them. And oh, by the way, they have locations like a block from where you live if you live in Tallahassee. It's known. It's a known thing. Reached out to Danny today. If you're listening, Danny, I'll be in touch with you again here shortly. Look forward to continuing our great relationship with the Zaxby's. Now I'm famous for it. I'm driving around. People will just pull up to me. How many Zaxby's? This is what happens. 66 today, guys. I'm going to one now. Yes, you are. Did you see that Keon Coleman has, of course, become beloved by the national media for his initial press conference and really any subsequent interview that he's done? I got to tell you, the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm is the latest to hack one of those videos, to take one of those videos and have it on standby, Tom. Asked about whether or not he reached out to Andre Reed. Do you see this as they start camp? Camp is getting underway for lots of teams right now, right? These mini camps. And wanted to know if he had reached out to the Buffalo Bill Hall of Famer, former Buffalo Bill Hall of Fame receiver. And he said, of course, he's a great resource. You always have to take advantage of the resources that are available to you. And it's a show of respect. I was taught to always know and respect those that came before you. So, of course, I reached out to him. Well, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? That is 100% the best answer to any question posed to an athlete in the last 2 years. Where was this? I never saw this, not one time when he was here.
Oh, I saw it. He was hilarious on the day.
I liked him, but I didn't see the thoroughness of this.
He wasn't made available a lot. I don't know. Now, that might have been by his choice. Sometimes the players are like, what's the minimum I got to do for interviews? Sounds great. I'll do that. But at the NFL level, you're doing a whole lot more, especially when you're essentially a first-round draft pick. Because the first pick of the second round, the expectations on Keon Coleman are that of a first-round draft pick.
Correct. Also because they just lost their best wide receiver.
And that was the thing. Who is going to be the guy to replace the guy? And so it's Keon Coleman. and he has been fantastic. But on the dais after the LSU game, I about fell out of my chair just watching him play really dry the humor on the Brian Kelly question. What'd he say? He said, what, Coach? Well, and Mike Norvell is just cringing, and he's going, let's get through this moment. This is awkward, and Keon's embracing how awkward this moment is.
Yes, he is.
Fantastic. But, yeah, he's every interview he does, and he's going to be on the circuit now. You know he's going to be on the Manning cast when Buffalo doesn't play on a Monday night. You know he's going to be on Good Morning Football, and all the networks are going to want a piece of Keon Coleman viral video quality for the NFL. They don't have a lot of guys that do that, and he's leaning into it really hard. If he can play just a little bit at the professional level, man, he's got his own industry, and he can find his way into some sort of TV gig when it's all said and done.
Well, the thing I appreciate is, first of all, you just want that from a guy that you're hoping to become a franchise guy. Listen, I don't care one way or the other about the Buffalo Bills. I kind of feel like their window closed. The game they should have won was when they had the lead on the road against Kansas City with, 13 seconds to play. That is still the silliest loss in the history of losses for Buffalo, and I don't know that they'll ever overcome it. They were the better team that day. He was the better quarterback on that day. They did everything there was to do, and that happened.
And they never touched the ball again except to kick it.
The whole thing was asinine. The whole thing was asinine. It's asinine. And once you don't capture that moment, once it doesn't happen for you, last year's, like, people get mad at them for last year. They were riddled with injury. They had nobody left on defense. It was kind of a miracle they had the lead to begin with. That really stemmed from the fact that they had a great game plan to run the ball and play keep away against the Chiefs. And while they could play keep away, it was effective. But once the Chiefs started getting the ball back, it was going to be a wrap because the Bills didn't have anybody left on defense. So it didn't matter where the game was being played. It could have been played on the moon. If you don't have your players, you're screwed, especially against that guy who's a generational, elite, all-time Hall of Fame quarterback. Speaking of which, Kansas City will be playing Baltimore for the first game of the year. That was announced by the NFL today. It's really good choice. It's a really good choice for the first game of the season on a Thursday night. Okay. Don't mind if I do.
I agree. Don't mind if I do as well. And they did it. As always, they made a big to-do about the schedule release, which is Wednesday night at 8. And now I know, in addition to hockey, which will be on
Wednesday night at 8, what you're watching.
Yeah, we got the Mets on. We got some hockey. We got some NBA playoffs. And that will all be on. But I will be on my phone scrolling through. All right. Oh, they screwed us with the bye week again. Oh, we got to play a short week Thursday against them. Damn it, man. That gets fun. I love when the schedule comes out.
Well, so bottom line is that, yes, going back to that, it's funny that he went there and he is going to be the hope of that franchise to replace, obviously, an elite wide receiver. And Keon will be interesting because he's not afraid of the cold. He has a lot of belief in himself, and he's got a gunslinger who's a horse at quarterback. If they have a running game to go with, they're going to have to win a lot of high-scoring games because that defense has begun to fall off a cliff. So I'm curious now to see what kind of numbers Keon Coleman puts up this year. He's going to – when the second half of that season, Tom, will be a season where Keon can really flourish in the inclement weather because all of the congested catches he's going to be asked to make, he can make. That's kind of who he is. He certainly isn't running away from people.
I can't wait to see that. Snow falling on a Sunday afternoon in Orchard Park. One-on-one, he goes up against Sauce Gardner, picks it up off the top of his helmet for a touchdown. You could barely see the celebration because it's that dense kind of snow that it looks like it's gray outside, and you could barely see him celebrating and the fans going nuts for another big play made by Keon Coleman. His game fits. It just fits that weather. He's not track speed, not by a long shot. If he was in a Dolphins jersey, you'd be like, If he was in a Rams jersey, no, it doesn't fit. In a Bills jersey, yes, absolutely that fits. Absolutely.
Chiefs open in the game against Baltimore that I just mentioned as a 2.5-point favorite. That is out. The over-under is at 47.5. That game will be played on a Thursday. That is the Thursday night opener at Arrowhead for the third time in 5 seasons is what that is. Oh, wait. Okay, so this is getting interesting. I'm getting news, guys. Sorry about that. I'm doing the doing the Adam Schefter thing here, right? I'm looking at my phone while I do a radio show. Florida State was looking to ensure that they did not have to go play their Georgia Tech series this week in Atlanta. The series was going to maybe have to be moved. So obviously these are phone calls that can be made to places like Jacksonville, perhaps Pensacola. Blue Wahoo Stadium's there, buddy. You obviously would be excited about something like that. I've said before, I was told tentatively that was okayed, that they were going to play in Pensacola. I'm being told now they may not have to. Looks like Hauser may be ready to go this weekend. So we're still uncertain, but a lot of strides have been made over at Hauser, is what I'm being told, regarding a series just gone ahead and being played here at home instead.
So what's interesting about that is the follow-up is, okay, so the logistics to get in and out of the stadium, to get in and out of campus are all right. Campus was open this morning, open for business for the beginning of the semester.
Everybody was open this morning. It's a weird time in the city because people are on pins and needles. A lot of frustration for what happened on Friday, where kids were out on buses, kids were in school, kids were driving themselves to high school, all those sorts of things when these tornadoes hit. And there have been a lot of criticisms, obviously. And so being sensitive to that, I think today they were like, let's get out in front of it. There are more storms on the way. Send everybody home. So that's what's happened. High schools closed early today. Middle schools closed early today. Everybody closed early today. I would think good Lord, Friday, I think we're going to be all right. A lot of rain here in the next 48 hours. So let's see what happens. But apparently you would have to have had, I would think, that right field fence repaired to a place where we can play ball on Friday. If you're going to clear it to be in the stadium, I don't want them to do the thing where they have no right field fence and we get pop-ups for home runs again, like back in the day before the Fenway style fence was put in place.
What, you don't want Yankee Stadium for a couple of days? It's Thursday through Saturday. That's the thing. Now, would they move it? Because typically the conference likes to end the final weekend series on a Saturday to get the extra day for acclimation. I don't know if they've got latitude to move it or if they have to keep it Thursday through Saturday, but interesting. If it was Wahoo Stadium, dude, that would have been one hell of a road trip. That would have been a lot of fun. They've got to make it a regular thing over there. There's a lot of Noles on that side of the panhandle that want to watch their team play something.
Including the mayor of Pensacola. Yes.
Yeah. And we go to Jacksonville for the Florida game every year. So, I mean, let's think broadly. Let's think broadly about it.
They were absolutely going after it, and it looked like that would maybe be where the game was going to be played. It still might. I don't know. They're still tracking down. My two sources are tracking down confirmation. It's just that great strides were made at Hauser today. So given that it is a Thursday through Saturday does bump up the timeline a little bit. But like Briley pointed out, if it was only the right field fence, you'd think you could get that back up and secured and ready to roll. Problem with Hauser is so antiquated in a lot of ways, dilapidated, somewhat behind the scenes in a lot of ways that people can't see as they enter the stadium. So they sometimes raise an eyebrow when I criticize the place. They've had issues with standing water, both inside the stadium and then underneath. And there've been problems. Well, we just had a situation, which I know a lot of us roll our eyes at, the weekend of the NC State game. They canceled in part because of the lightning that they were worried about 10, 15 miles away. But also because there were conditions of the field that they weren't happy with. So they say, I don't know. That seemed to have been a win-win for the two teams that probably needed an extra day and only wanted to play one more game. Just my guess, just my theory there. But it has poured, and if it continues to rain over the next 2 days, that place may not be ready to play. You'd like to have some options.
Yeah, in terms of options, I see that Marty, Knowles fan in the chat, says maybe doubleheader one day. Man, Link ain't about that. I don't think we're going to do that.
2 million of them.
I think we would move it. If the option was, all right, we'll do Friday, Saturday, and pick your day for a doubleheader, or we're going to move the series. This is total speculation. I would think that Link Jarrett would say, no, man. If we have to finish by Saturday, I'm not doing a doubleheader. Screw you and your doubleheaders. No, we are moving this thing. Where do we need to move it to? And let's go there.
Judging by the amount of times they've been asked to move up a series for TV, have a game delayed, and then have the worn-out ass bullpen have to pitch for 6 innings after a stop-start beginning to a baseball game, or the amount of doubleheaders that they've had over the course of this season. No, I'm with you. Excuse me. About to cough. I agree that he didn't want to play a doubleheader. But the question would be in that moment, Tom, yeah, maybe you don't want to play a doubleheader, but would you rather play a doubleheader at Hauser than have to travel to Atlanta? You don't want to do that. You don't want to get back on the road. This team has been dreadful on the road.
They have been dreadful on the road. That's why we go on the road to a neutral site. Yes. We did okay the neutral site when it was the wedding weekend, Corey's wedding weekend. That was an okay time. And besides, you may want to get through one more period of going on a bus and going through those logistics, because unless you pick up the pace a little bit here, you could be looking at a super regional on the road in a hostile environment. I think they're right now probably 8 to 10, depending upon how lenient the committee wishes to be. We'd be right on that bubble. You got some work to do to convince and cement your place as a top 8 national seed.
Here comes a little sweepy for that ass. We're going to beat Stetson tomorrow, buddy. Then we're going to sweep Georgia Tech. All's forgiven. Let's get it on. A bunch of games at Hauser in the sweltering heat. Standing water despite 102 degrees for 5 straight days. Make our way over, grab ourselves a cold beer and a big hot dog, sit down and watch that victory for the first time in years at Hauser in the postseason. Celebrate. Hope to see 15 to 16 dongs over the course of the weekend. Let's go. I am ready for Florida State baseball at Hauser. It's been too long, damn it. Too long.
A 16 dong weekend is one hell of a weekend.
My God.
Yeah. Just find your way into the winner's bracket. Now, I think your fear has become reality. You got to do some work in the ACC tournament. Do you have to make it through your pool? Probably not. If you get a good win over a decent RPI team in pool play, ridiculous. But I don't think you can just mail it in and be okay. I don't think they're insulated.
Unless they do what I just said. Beat Stetson and sweep Georgia Tech. You're insulated. You're in. Screw everybody else. You've been a top 8 national seed for almost the entirety of the season. It's got to count for something. And we've overcome a ton to do it. That's the kind of character the committee should be looking towards to help lead America, quite frankly. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Before we go to break, I should remind you, Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com's own, is at Amelia Island. And I suspect he's browbeating Jim Phillips right now. He's peppering him with pointed questions that we demand answers to. And that means he'll tell us all about it when we come back. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Dude, that's quality radio right there. Tell us how you really feel.
Sorry, man. I'm just so tired.
And why do we think we're tired?
Oh, I haven't made the Grassroots coffee yet.
Yep, Grassroots coffee. Tastes even better than it smells.
Roasted to perfection.
And so many blends and single origin coffees. You can have a different tasting coffee every day of the week.
You can order directly from grassrootscoffee.com.
And with a Grassroots coffee subscription, you'll never run out of your favorite brew.
Locally owned, locally roasted for everyone and loved everywhere.
That's Grassroots coffee.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
The headlines remind us daily the world is a dangerous place. The elites in charge say everything's fine. Stop noticing. But you know better. And your gut knows that time is short to
The benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff Cameron Show, as the man said, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Weather getting dicey out there. A lot of thunderstorms. Tornado watch good till 7 o'clock. Hang in there. We'll see if we get knocked off the air for any reason. Could be goodbye till tomorrow. We'll see. We had a little flicker a moment ago. That's why I'm not going to waste any time. That's why I'm going to bring the man in right off the bat. Our own Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, is at Amelia Island, where I hope the weather is better. Let's find out. Good sir, can you hear me okay? That's a negative. Come on now. There he is. Now can you hear me? He's probably thinking that it's going to be a few minutes. Are you there, Ira Schoffel? Turning his mic off and turning your mic on, Tom Lang.
All right, I got it for you. Your mic, you know that little aux button above your mic? So it's real time on the air. Is it off right now?
No, it's on.
Are all four things on right now? All four lights above?
No, three of the four.
Make all four of the four and he'll hear you. It's a beautiful thing.
I love the way we do radio these days. Let's get him and see if it works this time. Does he need to have all four up?
No. He should be able to hear you, and you should be able to hear him now.
All right, let's try it again. Our own Ira Schoffel from over at Amelia Island. Let's see if he hears me this time. Do you hear me this time, Ira?
I hear you, Jeff. I hear you.
Woo! We're doing it. Lesson learned. And now the picture of you is up for the Warchant TV viewing audience from 1987. It's Ira Schoffel, everybody.
2012. Verify that.
All right, so let's talk. What's Amelia like? Tell me you got better weather there than here, buddy.
It's a little drizzly right now, buddy. It's a little drizzly. It's not. I don't think there's a tornado watch going on here, but we are getting a little bit of rain, and not a whole lot of news has happened yet. Florida State, their contingent just arrived. I just saw Michael Alford, the AD, and Mike Norvell, Leonard Hamilton, some of the other support staff people will be here throughout the day as well. They'll be here till Wednesday. But the meetings are really just about to get started. They actually are meeting this afternoon, and then hopefully we'll talk to some of them as the day goes on, as breaks in their meetings. But as of right now, it's just everybody's just getting in and getting situated.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Ira, give me the schedule. They're getting situated today. And then from there, if we were to get anything juicy, you were to get any kind of meaningful comments from the principal players, when do you think that would be? You think we'd hear about it by tomorrow, or it would be tomorrow evening? What are we looking at timeline-wise?
Man, it's one of those where you just kind of have to hurry up and wait. You don't really know, because part of the meetings are going on over the next 2.5 days. So they'll be meeting till Wednesday. And, basically a lot of times the head coaches and the athletic directors will talk when they have time between meetings. So you sometimes, we could get them this afternoon, we could get them this evening, we could get them tomorrow. We just don't know for sure exactly when, because it's not like, it's not like there's a deadline where they have to finish all their meetings. It's basically when they have time in their schedule. So, from a juiciness standpoint, we really don't know what we're going to get, because a lot of it's probably going to depend on what messages people want to send. These meetings are not going to be to determine Florida State's future in the ACC or what the ACC is willing to take for a buyout. They're not going to have those kind of votes today or talk about them over these next 2 days. But people may want to send messages. It was here 2 years ago where Jack Swarbrick, the Notre Dame athletic director, made the comment about the Big Ten and the SEC becoming the two big suns in the college football universe, and everybody only wanting to align with them. And then, last year, Michael Alford made some comments. So we'll have to see how it plays out, but there's nothing definitive. We just kind of have to monitor over the next 2 days.
By the way, we did get some questions in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat. People asking, is FSU and Clemson isolated? Are they going to be in a room while everybody else is in another room?
That's actually up for debate, I think. My impression is that they're going to be part of some of the meetings, but I do wonder if they're going to be in all of the meetings, because the issue is basically, obviously with FSU and Clemson looking to get out of the conference, whether it's in the next year or 2 years, if they're talking about things that are going to be private internal discussions about things that are happening 5 years from now or 10 years from now, they may say, hey, we don't think you guys should be in here right now. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. I don't know if it's totally determined. I know that I see Michael Alford actually right now. He's here. They'll be in some of the meetings. Clemson's athletic director, Graham Neff, will be in the meetings. I don't know if they'll be in every meeting throughout the 2 or 3 days.
Would it be weird if you walked over to him and handed him your phone and said, hey, talk to Jeff Cameron?
I'll see if I can do that. He's actually maybe in another conversation. Sorry.
I was going to pepper him with questions from the fans.
Sure. I understand. I know your game.
I think he'd like it. He'd love to be taken off guard like that, and it just shows what kind of impromptu genius he is. So honestly, did you get a sense before going over there from anybody you may have talked to in the administration that there was sort of a game plan in sending messages, or was this just kind of by the book what you have to do?
You got to stay tuned to warchant.com, Jeff, to find out. No, I honestly, the impression I get is that Florida State's not going to, in the middle of the lawsuit, the lawsuit's plural, I don't think Florida State, my impression is Florida State did not come here to make a lot of big statements because, that's what they did last year leading to the lawsuits. So this, I don't think from a Florida State standpoint, there's going to be any bold comments from Michael Alford. What I am curious to see is what kind of comments do other athletic directors in the conference have to say? What are the people at NC State or Virginia or some of these other, or North Carolina, who has kind of been on both sides of the fence over the last few months? What are those people saying about Florida State? What are they saying about Clemson? What are they saying about the ACC's future? And then maybe there'll be responses from FSU, but I don't think FSU came in with the idea of rattling sabers. I think they're past that point. They're in the courts now.
It'll be interesting, Ira, because I'm kind of curious. Well, first of all, let me ask you this, because I know whenever we go to the ACC kickoff in Charlotte, we all do this. It's an opportunity to talk with our brethren in the press that cover individual programs or regions. Do you get a sense from maybe talking to any of those folks where some of these other teams are in regards to how they feel about Florida State and Clemson at this point? Because I think deep down, remember, we're just a year removed from the quote-unquote Magnificent Seven. I mean, deep down, a lot of people wanted to leave this conference about a year ago as they saw the shift and where all the power went and where all the money, most importantly, was going to go. Do you think there's any chance that somebody else steps forward during these meetings?
There's definitely a chance. I think part of it is what you have is, everybody, look, man, the bottom line is everybody's looking out for themselves. And so, yeah, you have just talking about Florida State and Clemson. Clemson let Florida State be the one to take all the daggers and be the one at the forefront of everything. But then they filed lawsuit also. North Carolina, their athletic director was criticizing Florida State 1 year ago at this very same meeting. And then just the last couple of months, their board of trustees have come out and said, we're very concerned about the ACC's future as well. So everybody's kind of, when you talk about that Magnificent Seven group last year, those schools, several of those schools were basically kind of like hedging their bets. It's almost like, at the schoolyard when you hear there's going to be a fight after they're trying to figure out what side they're going to be on.
Right.
I think you had some of that. I think you had like some of these schools, okay, wait a minute, there might be a way out of this grant of rights. Tell me more. Oh, we might have a ship waiting for us at the Big Ten. Tell me more. And then maybe when they realize they might not have as good a prospect as Florida State and Clemson, then they backed out and they're supporting the ACC. So I think interesting schools to monitor. Certainly, Miami. I think as a school, North Carolina, Virginia, the schools that probably would have a good place to go to if they could get out of the ACC. Those are the schools probably we need to monitor. I don't know that, schools like Wake Forest and Boston College and Pitt, Syracuse, they're not going to have a whole lot to say. So they'll probably be in the background.
Yeah, Boston College is happy to have an athletic program. My brother, I appreciate it. I'll be in touch again. You're the only source of news this week. Nothing else is happening in the world of Florida State except for where you are, sir. Get ready to be on everybody's show 16 times.
I can't wait.
Talk to you later, brother. That is Ira Schoffel, Warchant.com, giving us the latest from Amelia Island, where, not much, Tom, not much going on just yet, but there will be. I root for chaos. Now that we've made our place known and what we want to see happen, I want chaos.
Yeah, I think this is to be expected from Phillips, from Clemson, and from Florida State, that they're going to toe the party line and they're going to be very safe in their comments. But I totally agree that the most interesting comments will come from the likes of North Carolina, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Louisville, athletic directors from places that probably would have a home in either the Power 2 or in the Big 12.
Or the Big 12,
Louisville is, I think, a good example of one of those that probably not going to get scooped up by the SEC or the Big 10. But they would certainly be a valuable commodity to the Big 12, and they would probably stand to make more money than they currently do. So, I think Virginia Tech, I forget the athletic director's name there, but every time he's quoted on this issue, I think he does a magnificent job. So those athletic directors that kind of picked a side but haven't really picked a side, if they lean one way in some of their breakout interviews, that gives you a window into where they believe the future of this conference to go. The question I would love to hear Jim Phillips have to answer, he won't give you an answer, but I'd love to hear him have to answer it, is as it pertains to the ACC and your belief that they compete at the highest levels, did you yourself decide that the ACC would be taking a lesser share of the college football playoff revenue, or did you consult with the member institutions and come to an official vote that you would be taking less money than the SEC and the Big Ten? And I would just love to hear him have to answer that.
That'd be a tough one, because by doing what they did, he answered the question already, or they answered the question already, and that would be seen as trolling. Like you asking that question, that's a toughie. No, I want to know, Jim, did you personally decide that, or did the league decide that? Because by definition, by doing so, you told everybody you're lesser.
Yeah, I mean, look, he can't win in terms of the answer. He can just sidestep it, but it's interesting to know what the procedure was. Like, yeah, I can load it up and troll and talk about how you're making less money at every point. But how did they arrive to that conclusion? Did he have to call the member institutions and tell them this is the best we could get? Or was cajoling required? Did they just want a share that was in a second tier. Like, where is their head at, and what conversation was had to arrive at that place? Because to me, that discussion, independent of our feelings, is interesting. How did they come to that conclusion where they had to concede money?
It'd be funny if you asked the question and then he just looked at you.
Struggling.
That's all he said.
I think he would offer one of the like that, an all-timer, so he could gather himself. Well, and then he would be gathering himself because there's no good answer to that question. But there's no good answer to the question because this dip, said that we're on the same plane. We're on the same level. And then he admitted to the world that he took less. So how'd you get there, Jim? I'm wondering when you conceded.
Struggling.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The National Weather Service in Tallahassee has confirmed 3 tornadoes impacted Leon County after Friday's severe weather. The first started around 6:30 a.m. about 3 miles south of Greensboro in Gadsden County, an EF2 rating. The tornado ended on the Capital City Country Club golf course near the 5th hole. The second tornado started around 6:50 a.m. about 2 miles north-northeast of Fort Braden in Leon County, also an EF2 rating. The tornado ended about 3 miles east of Chairs Crossroads in Jefferson County. The South Leon County tornado was rated an EF1 with estimated peak winds of 110 miles per hour. The tornado was estimated to have been 1,100 yards wide at its maximum, with an estimated total of over 31 miles on the ground. Numerous homes and businesses were damaged during the tornado outbreak, as well as extensive tree damage. One person did die during the storms after a tree fell on her southwest Tallahassee home. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A flood watch continues until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. A tornado watch continues until 7 p.m. tonight. Severe thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 81. Southeasterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 70.
Hey, I'm Chris Young, and here's what's happening on the next Bud and Broadway show.
Hey, are you ready to see Christopher Reeve as Superman and Adam West as Batman all in the same movie?
That would be cool. We're going to have another round of questionable opinions from Twitter for you.
And we'll get you all caught up and up to date on the drama surrounding my son Grayson's prom day.
Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean? There was
Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Yeah, the Susie Culver incident was, or the Joe Namath incident with Susie Culver was 21 years ago, 2003, Tom.
Man.
2003. And I wish we had not just
struggling,
but the other, Can I Kiss You?
Yeah.
That was a toughie. It's hard for all of us to witness that because Joe's beloved. And as soon as he went there, we were like, no, Joe.
Joe was, he was struggling. I'm so sorry the team is struggling on the field.
Oh, he was struggling. They were struggling.
There was a good era, though, for Monday Night Football. They had a lot of weird finishes in that time. You had the Antonio Freeman play where it lands on his hip and he catches it. I think that was against Minnesota.
Yeah.
You had the Testaverde comeback with Jets Dolphins. You had there was another Jets game that was crazy. I forget for what reason. Like that Al Michaels, John Madden period of time for Monday Night Football on ABC was pretty good.
Their famous comebacks, millions of them, in fact, including one, unfortunately, involving the Bucs and the Colts.
Yeah, they got us for leaping, even though that we didn't leap. So, yeah, I remember that one.
It was all time. Yeah, that was as frustrating as it gets, that game. All right, so we'll check back in with Ira throughout the week and find out if anything good happens over there at Amelia Island. I sure hope that we get some of that. I saw James B. ask this, and since we have to do probables in a few minutes, I'll bring this up. I will talk about Paul Skeens in just 1 second, but Tom knows the kind of agony that I have felt watching the Pittsburgh Pirates and how they could ruin a man's debut where 16 different times he threw a pitch over 100 miles per hour is very Pirate-like. But first, let me just say this. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Eisen Legal Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Eisen Legal Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Eisen Legal Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit EisenLegalLawFirm.com. Eisen Legal Law Firm, your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa. Also, shout out to many business owners around here in Tallahassee, but in particular, obviously, I'm dear friends with him, Eddie Agramonte at Gordo's. That one on Pensacola Street, the old school one, Tom, the one from back in the day when you were a student and so many of us would swing on by to get a smash before walking over to the game at Hauser. That one took a beating. In fact, that area, Florida State, Florida A&M, every spot in between, the student housing for both universities. My heart breaks for everybody over there that have had some serious damage. So we're thinking about you guys today, and we're thinking about ways to help.
Yeah, we'll find some ways as the right organizations present themselves to help those particular spots. It's really important to. And I saw the footage. Mutual friend of ours, Ryan Kelly, sent me a video that he had shot for CTV. Or CTV did, of Pensacola Street, West Pensacola. And over by Jim and Milt's, over by the Wendy's over there that's been there forever and a day, by Old California Chicken Grill. Like, man, the power lines, the trees, all of it,
gone.
It's absurd. It reminds me of what the Parkway looked like a few years ago from the hurricane, when all of the signs for Barnaby's and La Fiesta, and they were just ripped off completely.
It occurs to me that every business you just named besides Wendy's is closed, and that is heartbreaking. La Fiesta, gone. Barnaby's, gone. Jim and Milt's, gone. California Chicken, gone.
That's probably why I was so flamboyantly saying them aloud, because free love for businesses that don't exist. What's the one that hurts the most for you? For me, it's La Fiesta.
Well, La Fiesta as an adult, as a student, and I used to live behind when it used to be Buffalo Wings and Rings across the street from Jim and Milt's. I used to live there. Lapona. Ooh, shout out to my people at Lapona. We had some good times. There was a guy when I was in school that would ride up and down Pensacola Street. Of course, that bridge, it didn't look like it did now. You could go all the way through. He would come down where the guys that ride you around on game day who are always offering up rides from, one field to another and all that. This guy had a full-service bar, and on Fridays, he would ride up in that apartment complex I lived at. That'd be his starting point. Friday at 5, because he knew me and my drunk-ass friends would definitely order drinks from him before he started his quest towards the university. And we would come down the stairs, and he'd ring a bell, and he'd be like, "It's Friday, it's time." And we'd go, "You're damn right it is." And we would walk down the stairs and order shots, and then we'd get something else. Couple things maybe, and then he would take it on down the road. We'd tip him well, and he would drive on over the bridge and take it over to the campus. Yeah, I miss it terribly. And then we'd walk to Jim and Milt's, get after the Jim and Milt's, and then go sit on the deck. That would be the deck at Buffalo Wings and Rings. Good times. Good times.
Very good times. How were the whippets that he sold you? Were they good?
Oh, Seth is a former fellow Lapono resident. There you go, baby. Yeah, good times.
For
Good
me,
times.
the best times, I know what you're talking about with Fridays. I had several semesters where I had Friday classes, and it felt great on a Friday afternoon when it was all over. But for 2 years, I had a Tuesday, Thursday only schedule. It was the most tremendous thing in the world. And my favorite was Saturday night, going out and thinking that, hey, man, weekend ain't over, baby. I got Saturday 2 coming up tomorrow. I got Saturday number 2 coming up tomorrow. And that was the best day of the week. Because at Poor Paul's, when I was of age, you got your $4 pitchers and you got your free pizza. Gumby's, another business that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, man.
What a time. What a time to be alive.
Is the guy that did all the Gumby's commercials and the Poor Paul's commercials, is he still kicking?
Jim? I think Jim's still with us.
Well, it's not a safe assumption. He was kind of old back then.
I'm pretty sure last time I was in town, I heard him on a different station.
I hope so. I'm just worried. Like he went the way of the dodo, like your boy Blue.
Well, he comes in with a cloud of smoke because he is of Poor Paul's, because he read some stuff for us at the old station for March Madness. We had those little incentives, and he would always sign up for those. And my man is like in Poor Paul's all day long. He comes, it's just one big cigarette that walks through the door. And it reminds me of how often we had to wash our clothes in bars because smoking was a lot more prevalent in all those bars. You know, Poor Paul's is not cash only anymore. Years ago, they made the switch. You can actually swipe a card there.
It's been too many years, and I'm too old to go by Poor Paul's as much as I'd like to. I feel like I crossed that line some time ago. It's like the only place I could go back in the day that was over by campus once I reached post 25 years old was AJ's. You felt like you could, which is also no longer there. Damn it, man. We've got the litany of places that are no longer around.
You could definitely easily get away. It's not even getting away with. Go to Poor Paul's for a happy hour. Now, it gets past like 7, 8 o'clock, and that's when the tide's turn. But we could go over there and play some darts at 4:30 on a Friday, and you would not be out of place whatsoever.
Here you go. It's time for probables. No music again because I got to get this thing back on the board, but I can give you this.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Unless Tom's going to surprise us. No surprise music from Tom's end.
Beep, beep, beep.
Blue Jays, Orioles, Jose Barrios, Corbin Burns, Marlins, Tigers, Sixto Sanchez. Remember when he was going to be a thing? He sucks. Matt Manning goes for the Tigers. Rays, Red Sox, Zach Eflin, Cutter Crawford. Phillies, Mets tonight. Christopher Sanchez, Sean Manaea. Cubs, Braves, Shohei Imanaga. Ronaldo Lopez goes for the Braves. Nats, White Sox, Trevor Williams, Chris Flexen. My Buccos on the road against the Brewers. Mitch Keller, not just screwing. Colin Ray goes for the Brewers. Guardians, Rangers, Tanner Bibby, Michael Lorenzen. A's, Astros, Ross Stripling. He's a big man. Spencer Arrighetti. Cardinals, Angels, Matthew Liberatore. Is that right? Liberatore. He can't be good, right? Jose Soriano goes for the Angels. Reds, D-backs, Graham Ashcroft cheats at the club. Jordan Montgomery goes for the D-backs. Rockies, Padres, Dakota Hudson, Randy Vasquez. Royals, Mariners, Brady Singer, George Kirby. Dodgers, Giants, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Jordan Hicks goes for the Giants, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Boy, I nailed that last pronunciation.
Yeah.
It was fast and really good. Hey, shout out also to all the people over there, Capital City Country Club area, that neighborhood, that golf course. Those people are friends of ours. We're members there. Fine folks, and they got waylaid. That course saw 2 tornadoes merge and take out an awful lot of it. So it's sad.
That entire area. I mean, you go down Orange, you go down Blairstone. Some of the neighborhoods got wiped. That whole area got wrecked, and the course itself, I think, lost hundreds of trees, according to GM Evan over there. So it's crazy. That just doesn't happen. Not like this. I remember so many. Yeah, exactly. You had one near your house again.
Oh, yeah, it took out 2 trees, came down on either side of the cars, and one took out my backyard fence. Now, this was the last tornado. That was some time ago, a few years back, 5-6 years ago. But yeah, it's very scary. It comes up on you quick, and there's nothing you can do.
No, correct. And I remember this is close to 15 years ago now, when Florida State hosted a regional and Alabama came to town and they were the 4. And Mitch Gaspard was the head coach. And and they had the horrible tornadoes in Tuscaloosa and the surrounding areas. And the players were interviewed because this is the big opening in the tradition room. There's no baseball to be played. It's just a greeting press conference. And the players are talking about huddling in bathtubs and
touching. It was brutal.
Hiding in their closets, underneath mattresses, like putting mattresses on the door to protect themselves. And I thought, man, that's so scary. And that's the part of the country where it happens. Thankfully, it doesn't happen that often here. And then bam, this Friday, I'm sure forevermore, whoever was a student who lives over there will be talking about that the rest of their life.
Do want to give a shout out real quick to my friends at Tried and True Promotions. They're consulting, I should say. They're prepared to help you start saving and making a lot of money. That's a good thing. As a business owner, you get to choose between one of 3 offers, $1,000 off a point of sale system, which doesn't suck, no gateway charges for 1 year also, or a free video media ad board for your business as well if you become a Tried and True client. The offer is being extended now through July 31st. So let's get with the savings here. And don't forget, 10% of their net revenue goes to the battle's end. Call Don or Joe today, 844-463-6653. That is 844-I'm4Noel. Make sure you get it done, Tried and True, and tell them it's the Jeff Cameron special. There you go. You can see it up there and click the thingy.
The QR code. Yeah.
It's the thingy. Click the thingy.
Get in the machine. I've got a couple one recommendation tonight in the hockey wagering world. Had a very good weekend with little player props here or there across the sports. Obi Toppin.
Let's go. Ready to make the bets.
So yesterday, Obi Toppin, 8.5 points was his total. And man, he's going over, and he hit 12, so that was easy. Over 3.5 goals for the Rangers tonight. Play over 3.5 goals for the New York Rangers. 2 reasons. Number one, they're at home, and that offense, that power play cooks at home. Secondly, in an elimination game situation, Carolina could very well, in a 2-0 hockey game, pull the goalie twice. You play desperate, so you can accrue an extra goal here or there in an elimination situation. So Rangers over 3.5 goals. If you could play the race to 4 goals, I'd play that instead. You get better odds, but over 3.5 team total, it's paying plus money.
By the way, my man Skeens made his debut through 102, 103, 100, and 101 several times, left leading 6-1. We promptly walked in 5 runs in the inning to have it tied. That's what the Pirates do. Good work out of you, Tom. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And for all of you who joined in, I hope you stay safe out there. Be careful. We plan on being with you tomorrow. No Seminole headlines tomorrow. There will be some form of a JCS while Ira's over across the way. We have to make sure that we have content for you. We will do that when he gets back. We will do a Seminole headlines. Until then, as always, thanks to Tom. Thanks to all of you. Be well. Be safe, everybody. Peace.